Never mind me while I'm stepping out my circumference. I feel the nerves trickling down. It's life humbling. My words stutter, stumbling, staggered, I'm caught off guard. This that life of a jigaboo, introverted, I'm scarred. Whoa. My mother been the melodies while they sing the choruses. Direct message from Slade saying we need more of it. Paranoia in my state, I see envy at high rates. Now it's crop off the fate, turn great so I fly straight. Was gone for a minute, now I'm back like an X with big factors. I see you turn flat like extinct like some raptors. When I drop through prayer, precision, practice and patience, we move to greener pastures. They're saying life is a matter of mastering basics and mastering patience. More time I get tired of waiting. Maybe it's fate procrastinating. The times are bad, so it really had me sprung. Like she got me doing things that I never do. You thought that we connected when in fact it was trauma bonding. Just leave it up to me to break the rules, never corresponding. My childhood filled with fence climbs and knee scrapes and bikes and kicking it by the street signs. The older I get, I'm trying to lessen any screen time. The bounce back heavy, I rock steady on climb. This one's a fucking loop, the news will pick and choose whatever truth they wanna give to you. I cannot stomach it, so I poop. Oops. When life turns sweeter, the lemon mouths get louder. But I'm amplified with ghosts from God like that boy Fowler. Working like I got that point to prove. But truth be told, the proof is right in the pudding, no point to lose. 60 for the crepes, yeah, I did that just because. She expecting more, girl, you know I'm saving up. Left me on red, well, it was what it was. Never stress over them joints or in downs when times get rough, so I ghost. Long are the days when we was close, and when I see you, it's like two completely different type of goats. I approach the weekly fire dropping, which I'm feeding. Still, I don't expect to be the one, your boy having fun. Still, the songs get spun like Beyblades and teacups. My fun fair to those that ever really know me from jump. So what's up, huh? I've been the one they all depended on like TJ. Now they're dead wilder than a furry knockout punch, leaving them straight stunned. It's hella fun, Through the lot, now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Tables turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
Yes, people. What is going on? It's G, and we're back in the building. We're here for today's preview. Let me just get my boy Tariq up. Don't know why he's not showing up on my screen. There we go. Listen, man. It's one of those things, man. One of those things. It's Friday. Yeah, I mean, everyone's tired. I know we've got the weekend to look forward to. But guys, big up everybody who is in the chat as we speak. I know there's a lot going on this evening, so love and appreciation to everybody who is tuned in. And if you guys are watching on the replay, make sure you smash that like button. Also, please. I know he's an op. And of course, we're here to talk about the ops today. But make sure you head on over to Tariq Talks Football, please. His link is literally, as in, you don't have to do any work. As in, I've done all the work for you guys. I've put the link in the live chat. But you know what? You might not be watching it, live here. That's absolutely fine. You might be watching it on the replay. Guess what? His link is literally in my description. All you got to do is click it. You ain't got to do nothing. You ain't got to do nothing mad. You ain't got to type and then accidentally come up with, I don't know, Tariq this. No. All you got to do is click it and then you guys will find it there. But Tariq, my bro, how are you doing this evening, man? And thank you for joining me as well, man.
What a great plug. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, man, people always tend to spell my name wrong. So now I appreciate you, bro. And I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad to be here doing a preview, my bro G. First time we're doing a preview on your channel together. Of course, we linked up.
Yeah.
Thanks to our brother Enz. That's how we got to meet each other. So yeah, man, big up Enz as well. But now I really appreciate you for inviting me on, and I'm really looking forward to talking about it because there's, these are one of the special games that we get in the season where the whole world really is going to be watching. Everyone in the Premier League getting to see some high-end quality football, and I'm just glad my team's in there. Liverpool have been in there in the past about 6-7 years or so, but yeah, with us, hey, we've been the ones watching, really saying, "I wish we could get to that level," but I guess we're here now. We've finally made it. Starting from the bottom, now we're here.
Bro, listen, Drake said it, man. Drake said it already. And I think obviously, you guys know, of course, this evening we're here to do the Arsenal versus Liverpool. Preview at Emirates Stadium. First versus third? Third? No, second? Second or third?
Third because
Yeah, third.
City
Okay.
beat Burnley. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So, okay, cool. So, first versus third. But we know this Premier League season, I think it's still got a couple twists and turns. We know, especially, looking at Arsenal coming off the back of last season, finishing second. We all know, everything behind, what happened kind of there. Liverpool having an absolute stinker this season, obviously, of course. I mean, Arsenal still kind of keeping consistent. If you look at it at the end of the day, they're still up there. They're still challenging. Liverpool have kind of had the upturn in terms of finishing fifth last season. And then now, this season, we are the league leaders. Now, before we get into all the predictions and all that good stuff, chat to me just in general about the game in itself, in terms of how you're looking, towards this game and feeling wise.
It's an interesting one because Arsenal have won their last 2 games, but I feel like with myself and with a majority of the fan base is that we're still coming in with kind of a little bit of anxiety into it, with a little bit of nerves showing, because before we won our last 2 games, we lost to you, and our 2 other games before that against West Ham and Fulham. So we went through kind of like a bit of a down period before before our Dubai break, our mid-season break there. So yeah, we beat Crystal Palace 5-0, breaking down 2 defensive teams, 2 teams that set up with 5 at the back formations, and that's kind of been that's been our kryptonite this season, is putting our chances away. At the very beginning of the season, we struggled to create many opportunities. Our chance creation numbers were ridiculously low, like mid-table level, and then our defensive numbers were up there with the best. That's kind of what's kept us with the pack in Liverpool and Man City. But that kind of took a little bit of a switch in that period where we wasn't as clinical as we were in the beginning of the season, created more chances, and then looked vulnerable defensively, especially off a set pieces, because West Ham scored off a set piece, Fulham scored off a set piece, Liverpool's goal in the FA Cup was from a set piece then. Right. So after we faced you in December, we kind of went on a downturn. And that kind of was a bit of the same, wasn't it, last season after we faced you at the at Anfield. So yeah, there is a bit of nerves going into it, and I was hoping to hear some positive team news today, which would have been able to give me a little bit more confidence in terms of changing the game, at least off of the bench. But yeah, man, well, I'm sure we'll talk about that anyway. So I can't lie, bro. This is since me and you have met, this is the least confident I've felt going into the Liverpool game. But I still know that I can get a result. We are able to get a result, but I'm not sharing as much confidence as I did when we played you last season at any point, or this year yet.
No. Listen, it's mad even like hearing that. And guys, just as Tariq said, big up Ends for kind of introducing us from a while back, because ever since I can't remember what video it was that I came on, and you was obviously on there with Ends and Savage at the time.
I think it was a draft.
I remember listening. Was it the draft? Cool. It was the draft. A draft. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, it's crazy listening, and you guys will, of course, make sure you subscribe to Tariq first and foremost. But if you heard Tariq and you've watched his videos and you've listened to the way he speaks about Arsenal, that was always one of the reasons I was like, I need to do a show with this guy, because this isn't someone who, listen, we all know there's the rant and ravers, there's the league gunners of this world, there's all these kind of, different type of personalities, which is fine. At the end of the day, people will do what they want to do. But we're talking to a person who is quite level-headed. We're talking to someone who is going to praise his team when he needs to praise the team, but can also see when the team may need, certain improvements in, whatever area. So it's always going to be a good conversation. So again, big up yourself even for that. But even just hearing you mention that in terms of, this is probably the first time since way back when you kind of feel not as confident. That one kind of not tripped me up, but at the same time, because I'm coming from the other side where I'm a bit like, I'm confident that we'll go into the game. We're on a good run. Do you know what I mean? We've only lost the 1 game in the Premier League. So I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, we're on a poor run, because we're actually on a decent run, and we're into the final of the Carabao Cup, all that good stuff, blah, blah, blah. But also just in terms of the performances are slowly getting better. And I think that was always one thing for me when I'm watching Liverpool is it's great getting the wins. Everyone, you want the 3 points. That's all you care about. But sometimes, you know, when the performances ain't really there, you're kind of like, this will crumble. And I was saying this to someone literally just before I came on here. Liverpool this season are reminding me a lot like what Arsenal were, you know, last season, which is it's I won't say write them off because you keep winning games. Eventually, you know what I mean. You put yourself into that kind of contention, but you're almost like, yeah, don't worry. Next week, yeah, don't worry. You know, it'll fuck up next week. Oh no, it'll mess up the week after that. I know, it'll mess up the week after that. Until you get to a point where it's like it hasn't messed up. So this is exactly what it is. So take it for that kind of thing. And I think that's where I come into this game. Usually, I would have said, nah, you know, Liverpool gonna lose, Arsenal at home, blah, 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 Emirates, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But I am quite confident heading into the game. But I just think that you guys are going to be up for it. I think that FA Cup game was almost like a, would I say, somewhat wake-up call, so to speak, in terms of coming up against us, because obviously we drew at Anfield already in the Premier League. So coming into the FA Cup game, I think you would have looked at it thinking, win this game, yeah, we can really, you know, push on this season, you know, and stuff like that. But I just think that you're going to be up for it, man. Sunday, you know, the late kickoff, well, the last game of the day, I think, you know, you're at home, the fans, I'm bigging up your fans, but everyone keeps telling me, no, don't worry about Arsenal fans, this, that, and the third. But I think you guys are going to be up for it, fans-wise and player-wise. Arteta's going to be up for it, and he's going to kind of know. This is the third time you've played us this season. He already knows after the first two times. Okay, cool. Liverpool play in a specific kind of way. All right, fair enough. We've got our threats, and we'll get onto that. You guys have also got your threats, but I feel like he's going to try and come up with a plan. And I think what killed you guys in that last game against us in the FA Cup was not taking your chances, bro. If you just took your chances when you were supposed to, we might be having a different conversation, because I think if Arsenal go 1-2-0 up, I don't really feel that Liverpool, as good as we have been and as many goals as we have scored this season and the comebacks that we've had this season, I just think Arsenal would have their edge, because Arsenal, you know what I mean? This is one of the best teams in the Premier League. We can't sit here and try and lie and, you know, act like it's not there. So, yeah, I think I'm confident, so to speak, but that confidence isn't, I'm not going to be beating my chest until that 90 minutes is done, if I'm being, you know, totally honest with you. But I wanted to move on to, you know, the team news, you know, one bit of news that kind of, it made me laugh. Because at the same time that I saw this news is then the same time I saw Liverpool's news in regards to our player. And that's obviously Fabrizio Romano's obviously put this out. Thomas Partey had a little setback a few days, or it's from Arteta, had a setback a few days ago. Unfortunately, he's not available. Whether it's a matter of days or weeks, we will see. He felt something again in a very similar area. Bro, chat to me anyway about this guy, because I'm confused. Like, I've not seen him, so I'm confused. You chat to me,
bro. It hurt, man, when I saw that, and I felt the same way Neil felt when I see Neil in the chat said he made him Bex, bro. Very frustrated, and it just feels like we're seeing the same story over and over again with Thomas Partey. Apart from last season, in his time at Arsenal, that was the anomaly where he played quite a few games and still missed important games. And then what came out towards probably about the start of this season, that hit the reason for his poor form is because he was managing this injury that he's got now. That he's just meant to have recovered from, and that was affecting his performance. But injuries and fitness is what is preventing this guy. And my frustration is more with Arsenal in a sense, in terms, and rather than him, because at the end of the day, I understand why a lot of fans are feeling frustrated because of how good he is. And they're saying, get rid of him, this and that. Can't, he's not a serious guy. I mean, let's be real. I'm sure the man's not happy he's injured either. Arteta's spoken about his professionalism, and he said that, you know, he's worked really hard in his rehabilitation, but his body's failing him. The reason I got frustration with Arsenal is because we've been so reliant on him ever since he came in, G. Ever since he came in. Yeah, let's say the first season, okay, we've had a bit of reliance on him, and it's not worked out because of injuries. Fine. Learn your lesson fast. Move in terms of moving for a Bruno Guimaraes. That's the player that we were linked with initially when in the second season of Partey's time, and that's who Arsenal were after, and the club relied on Partey. Says no, I don't think he's a clear upgrade on Partey. Let's keep him. It wasn't really about that, and we saw last season when Jorginho came in that Jorginho's not better than Partey, and we know his weaknesses, but he gave us a sense of stability. I remember that Newcastle away game. Newcastle away last season was probably the toughest fixture in the league, one of the toughest away places alongside
100%.
Anfield to go to last year. And Arsenal were able to grab a 2-0 win, and Jorginho was influential. So if you're having someone that's not a clear downgrade, like we've had with when we've had Sambi Lokonga there, Mohamed El Nene, Arsenal, people will say Arsenal addressed that this season, though, T. No, I don't think
That's
we
what
did.
I was going to say.
I don't think we did, though, G. Shall I tell you why? Because I think we bought Declan Rice and Havertz planning to play both Declan Rice and Thomas Partey for these games. And Havertz is someone that you can play as a striker replacement for Jesus, or in certain fixtures, you have him in like that left midfield role, but mainly just to be an extra body in the box as an aerial threat and a long ball to play to. So he's more of a like kind of utility player for Arsenal. Havertz was an expensive one, and yes, he's on high wages, I know, but someone to be able to do that. Whereas we've had to rely on a Rice, Havertz, midfield, both players playing in completely different systems. Havertz playing in a completely different position himself, and Rice been having to task to do more than he has ever done in his time at West Ham or even England, because his role is completely different. And I think we've suffered for that in us going forward. And Thomas Partey was the one player, bro, G, that was like, okay, if we can get him for 20 minutes against Liverpool, we have some power and physicality coming off of our bench. That was a key factor in us beating Manchester City. The two substitutes that came on in around the 60th minute mark was Tomiyasu and Thomas Partey. And that allows us in this Premier League, we know how much physicality, intensity is so important in getting results. Liverpool are the most intense team in the league. I'd say the most physically dominant team in this league. And we needed someone to be able to bring off of the bench who can give us technical assurance and experience and give us that, that progressive passing ability to pick out the long balls and we all know what he can bring to his game. But main thing that we can't replace with Jorginho is that power and physicality coming up against when Liverpool bring on their fresh legs in midfield or in the forward line. We don't have that now. And that's why I'm gutted to not have a Thomas Partey here available for this game. And that's why I've tweeted out, I feel a little bit less optimistic about us getting a win. Not a little bit, a big a big reason
I was going to say
optimistic about us not getting a win, to be honest.
Nah, big up the gaffer inside, big up Jerry. Guys, make sure, of course, you're doing the damn thing. You head on over to the Jerry James Show to watch what he has gang on. I'm pretty sure he's got a preview going to be coming up. So yeah, make sure you guys, of course, head on over to his channel, please. It's mad. Like the Thomas Partey thing, I always think, like, when I think about him, of course, obviously coming from Atletico Madrid, I felt like it was at the time, and again, context, at the time, I thought might be a tad bit of a downgrade just in terms of, Atletico Madrid, they're obviously one of the best teams, in Europe. So, to go to an Arsenal team who were on the way up, of course, they're on the way up. You just didn't know where that up was going to be and how long it's going to take to actually get there. When he's coming to the team, he, in my opinion, he completely, not completely, but he massively transformed it in terms of everything you're saying about having that physical dominance and that presence in that midfield area. And we know one of the things that Arsene Wenger was always criticized about, during his latter years, his team is just not dominant in the midfield. Of course, I always used to say context is you're comparing it to having, Patrick Vieira, Emmanuel Petit, Gilberto Silva, the Cesc Fabregases, and, these types of players in there. So it's unfair because, no one's really going to compare with those kind of guys. Diaby, who was I still think he's probably one of the top 3 best players I've ever seen who constantly gets injured. Like he was so dope. He was so dope. But people were comparing it to that. So when he did get the Partey in, especially after like people like Song has been in been come and gone in the team, I just felt like add that to a team who play good football, has done since Wenger's touched the Premier League and continue to do so even under various different managers, and then potentially add in, I hate using this word, but because there's not many of them around, but adding like a killer up top to play alongside a Saka and a Martinelli, bro, come on, man. Like we're really cooking now, but these injuries that this guy is picking up, and this season, the fact that you haven't been able to call upon him, that's been the one thing I think. And imagine you're not even that far behind in the Premier League. So imagine if you actually had him for a lot more games this season, I think you'd be a bit higher in terms of points wise. Whether the table would be any different, it just points wise, I think you'd be closing that gap. But yeah, he's such a weird one, man. Because a lot of Arsenal fans, from what I see, and I was doing some research before the game, I literally typed Partey in on Twitter just to see what comes up, kind of thing, and everyone was just like, oh, we miss this guy, oh, forget this guy, oh, we need this guy, oh, we don't even need Partey, oh, Partey's injured again, we're never going to see Partey. I think there's something going on between Arteta and Partey. Listen, I don't care about that off-field stuff, that's got nothing to do with me, but when we're just talking about a player who can easily transform a team, and then we're not talking about a crap team. We are talking about a good team here. So that tells you how good the player actually is. It's gonna be annoying, I can only imagine, for you Arsenal fans. But it's just funny because I saw that, and then I saw the news about Thiago obviously coming, but he's back in training, should I say? And I just laughed because I was like, did they take it in turns? Like, are they, sharing shit out, for the last year, because he's one player. I don't think unless something mad happens, I don't think he's going to be included, for this Sunday's game. I think he's just back in training. But he's another one where when he came in, I don't know about transform, but I just think because of how the Liverpool midfield was at the time, the job roles that we had. But you noticed when he was in the team, you just noticed, okay, Thiago's playing today. Yeah, we can see quality, the techniques, the passing, the little shimmies, and all of those kind of fun stuff that everybody likes seeing in five-a-side. But in terms of himself as a player, I always thought, okay, no, Thiago is good. And big up the guys in the Liverpool chat, like we were speaking earlier on about Thiago. My issue with someone like a Thiago and someone like a Thomas Partey, your teams end up moving past what they bring to the team. Absolutely. As good as they are, your team will eventually learn how to not play with these guys because they have to, especially for such a long period of time. Arsenal are not sitting in Chelsea's position in, I don't even know where they are, 10th or whatever it is. And you're sitting there thinking, bloody hell, we need Partey. We actually need this guy because if we don't get him back in, we're going to drop. No. They're still doing well. They're through to the next round of the Champions League. Did you get what I'm trying to say? So you're still doing well without Partey. Of course, he is still a good player. So it's not to say if he was to come back into the team, he wouldn't potentially not improve it. Same like Thiago. Probably would potentially improve it because of the quality of player. But your team's both teams, I feel, have moved past those players. So they now become, and I hate this term in football, they become a luxury player, which I hate that term because I don't know what that means. But that's what they end up becoming, So yeah, it's an interesting one when it comes to Thomas Partey and looking at someone like Thiago, to be honest, man.
But that's
let me just quickly,
you hit the nail on the head, and that's exactly how I kind of envisaged Partey for the rest of the season. Not someone we're going to be starting in many games. I'm not really looking for him to play a consecutive amount of games because you just can't rely on him physically. And I guess you're the same with Thiago in that sense. Yeah. But you want to be able to bring him on in certain games where he has the capability to help you guys massively in terms of progressing the ball from from your third into the middle third to the final third. All 3 phases of play, these players excel in and have that extra in these high-pressured games, in high-pressured moments. You want them there because they can do it. We've seen it. Partey, the season before we signed him, Anfield away, Champions League, put a man in the match performance just before we hit lockdown. And that was 99 point Liverpool at that point. We've seen with Thomas Partey the difference that he can make for us last season. Hence why people have been a bit more, what Arsenal we don't look as good. Hello, because we don't have Thomas Partey in there in that midfield. Love Declan Rice to bits, but there's things that Thomas Partey can do that Declan Rice can't, and that's why when people are quick to make judgment, Rice is the best defensive midfielder in the league. No, Arsenal fans, we was having a conversation last year about Rodri and Partey. Until Rodri turned up in the last part of the season, Arsenal fans were properly debating, and I was with that. Hey, who would you rather have, Rodri or Partey? And I'm like, on his day, Partey can score goals. He can. He's probably more mobile than Rodri, and he can do everything Rodri can do. But the difference is Rodri's always there, always available, and he turns up in the big moments. Whereas we saw with Partey towards the end, managing that injury as Arsenal curtailed at the end of the season. So, yeah, man, just huge loss for this game in particular. And I'm just hoping whatever happens at the back of this game that we do get to see Partey in an Arsenal shirt, because if Arsenal lose this game, that's big implications. I'm sure we'll talk about that as well in terms of what that means for Arsenal. But we're still in the Champions League, as you said, G. Exactly. Big games. If we are going to go to the Allianz Arena in Bayern Munich, or if we're going to go to the Bernabeu in Madrid, then I'm sorry, if we're going to expect anything, we need a fit Thomas Partey for them.
And this is it. And this is why I'm like, I just don't want. What I don't want is both Liverpool and Arsenal. And they're so similar in terms of everything about the two clubs. What I don't want is both clubs to fail in their objectives, whatever those objectives are, and to almost blame it on those two specific players and say, oh, but you know what? If we had Thomas Partey, oh, you know what? If we had Thiago, forget all of that, because as you said, we can't really rely on these guys. They both literally proven we can't really rely on these guys at this current moment in time. They can't be relied upon. So guess what? We need to figure out ways to do things. So as you mentioned, if you've got to go to the Bernabeu, the Allianz, read all of these places, guess what? We're gonna probably need we need the player, but we're gonna need to figure out a way to do things without having this guy here. So it is a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But I do hear it. I do hear it with both of them because they're good players. I'm not going to pretend like, they're both shit players and, it doesn't really matter whether they're here or not. This isn't like an Oxlade-Chamberlain situation where you're like, he's okay, but he's injured all the time. So I'm not that bothered too tough whether he's here or not, because now the team has moved so far beyond whatever you brought to the team. This is still two quality players in Thiago and Thomas Partey. So, yeah, I think it is one of those, catch-22s. Other news, Liverpool news, Jurgen Klopp says he needs to check on the fitness of Darwin Núñez before Sunday's game with Arsenal. He mentioned he left the stadium in a boot and it was not a football boot. Nothing's broken. The x-rays are clear, but we have to see, I think it says if he's back into a boot. But then I saw pictures of him in training without a boot. So I'm not going to say Klopp was doing mind games. I feel like Klopp doesn't really do mind games. He'll just tell it how it is. So maybe that was the situation. Whether he plays on the weekend, I have absolutely no idea. I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see. I'm going to, when we do the, predicted lineups and stuff like that, I'm going to do the team without him in the team, just because I don't think he's going to potentially start the game if he has been carrying a bit of an injury. I know Klopp likes to give players at least 2 days in training. It's not just 1 day. All right, cool, you're going to be in. So he's going to need to have had those 2 days in training. If he's good to go, then yeah, he will start the game. If not, then he's going to probably be on the bench at most, unless the injury, of course, gets worse. Last game, Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest. Chat to me. How was that?
It was one of them games, of frustrating ones that we've certainly come accustomed to this season as Arsenal fans. But where first half we're coming up against a deep low block, a proper one in Nottingham Forest that weren't really there to try and score a goal in that first half at all. With Chris Wood up top, I saw a stat, and that tells you the story of the game. Arsenal made over 200 passes in that first half. Nottingham Forest made 8. They
made what in the whole of the first half?
Whole of the first half, and they made 8 passes.
Who kicked off?
It
Because I
was,
bet
I
you,
believe,
if it was Forest, that was
I
one of
believe
their
it.
8.
I believe it was pass. I believe it was Forest actually. Yeah, I think it was
So let's
Forest
say
that kicked off.
7 passes actually in the game.
Yeah,
First
yeah,
half, technically speaking, that's
completed.
mad.
And
That's mad.
that told me everything, and in terms of how Forest was set up. And Arsenal started the game off slowly in terms of not making the right decisions. Odegaard, I got a little bit frustrated with him in first 2 moments where we got in towards on that right hand side, and he was either shooting or like taking a shot or overhitting his pass in that moment. But Arsenal grew into it. Jesus had a big influence on that left hand side, and we saw Emil Smith Rowe starting that midfield role in replacing Kai Havertz, and we saw a bit more fluidity on that left, but not as much fluidity and connectivity that we see on the right, and that's where our biggest threats were coming from on that right. Ben White, back fit now, and since the Dubai break, he has come back reinvigorated and looking to and actually returning to the Ben White that we saw last season, overlapping Saka, providing energy, defending in his 1v1 battles well, not being so passive like against what we saw against. I thought he was okay against Luis Diaz when we played at Anfield, but I remember seeing him a few one-on-one situations early in the game, standing off. Like not the space between them is huge because Ben White has been again nursing an injury, but because needs must at this point because we got so many players injured in our defensive ranks at the moment. So yeah, we just so Ben White was having to play through that, but we saw him return, and Arsenal were able to create chances more in the second half. Jesus on fire. He was man of the match, and he deserved it.
Yeah.
The Jesus that, again, due to injury, he's nursing a knee injury at the moment, and he's still having troubles with it from what we saw before, after the World Cup, when he missed that 3 months for Arsenal. We're seeing him return now. He was properly going out left, driving inside, playing that proper false 9 role that we see him do, and we know what we get with Jesus. You're going to get missed chances. You're going to get some beautiful moments of skill. Like, I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you caught it, G, but he flicked the ball over 2 players' heads and then smashed it well over the bar in the box. It was ridiculous. It was like one moment of brilliance. And then when it comes to that final action with Jesus, rushes it. And then, and then he hit the post as well before he did get that goal, which is poor goalkeeping from Matt Turner. But then Arsenal, once we scored that goal, you saw like there was a weight lifted off their shoulders, and the game Nottingham Forest wanted to play in terms of hitting on the counter-attack. They had to then be the aggressors, left the space open. Arsenal, they made a mistake from Gonzalo Montiel. Arsenal counter-attacked. Saka puts it away. That's brilliant. That's exactly what Arsenal wanted to do and came for. But then what we saw, like we saw against when we played you last time, G. Well, not the last time, in the Premier League, sorry.
Premier League game.
Zinchenko falling asleep from some long direct ball, falling asleep in terms of positioning. Montiel heads it, and Awani bullies Saliba. Saliba should do much better. He's more at fault than Zinchenko for that goal. I think so, yeah, bro, because that is a nothing ball that's been headed across. If the problem is what Saliba does, he goes to challenge it in the air.
Yeah.
If he doesn't challenge it in the air, Awani doesn't get that touch and he's not able to turn
fair
him.
Enough.
If he just stands his ground and block and doesn't commit himself and overcommits in that situation, it's what we usually see Gabriel do, and Saliba being a bit more you know, Van Dijk-esque. All right, you make the decision and I'll react to that. And I know I got you in every way, but no, Awani was clever, read that, and then used the body. Got a bit fortunate with that touch, but you make your own luck at the end of the day, and he finished it away. And then that gave us a nervy finish towards that game, and that's what we've seen from Arsenal. Lapses in concentration from individuals. Started off with Zinchenko with that header back across, and then Saliba there not being quite aware who he's coming up against, and Taiwo Awani, a physical presence.
That's a bully for you. Yeah, I was gonna say
exactly,
that's a bully.
Man. Hey, Nigerian strikers, you don't mess with them, bro. Yeah, there's some strong. He's not at AFCON because of an injury in it, but yeah, I see Nigeria.
Really that way. That's what I was thinking. Like, why is he not at AFCON? But okay, was he injured prior?
He actually returned quite quickly. He had a groin injury, he had surgery on it. He was meant to come back a bit later, but came back early, and that was it. That diagonal pass again. he should have done better. But then Saliba, bro, yeah, I see Neil saying that there, that diagonal pass. I do agree. I do agree with that. But for me, bro, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen if Zinchenko doesn't fall asleep. But it's not a dangerous header across the box. A player as someone as Saliba's quality and the level that we rate him as should be able to deal with that. I'm sorry, Van Dijk don't mess that up. The Tyrell one, you don't do that to Van Dijk there in that situation, in that time of the game. Yeah. Arsenal won in the end.
No, well, this is it. At the end of the day, it's the 3 points. As you mentioned, you're going to have those. Every top team has it, man. That's something that I've had to come accustomed to this season, is the top teams are always showing you their lapses of concentration, just moments. But if you don't capitalize, which obviously Forest did in this situation, if you don't capitalize, it doesn't really matter in the end of the day, because these top teams the quality of them, it's going to shine through regardless. There was a, what's the word? I don't want to say altercation, because that's probably the wrong word, which you probably know. Arteta spoke about it, and here's what he... In fact, no, let me show everybody, actually, quickly. So I saw it. I was laughing. I didn't know about it. So obviously, Ben White and Zinchenko, they've had previous, by the way, guys. They've had previous. That's obviously them Wolves against Arsenal. That was the 22-23 season.
I was at that game. I remember seeing that.
Was it an altercation? I didn't see that altercation in that one. Was it like a proper altercation, or was it just you could see two players just really going like at each other in terms of arguing and that?
That Wolves game, that was more joking and more like like you see, like, I don't know if you can see Zinchenko. He's got a little bit of smile on his face there, and then Ben White's pulling some face in the big image there. So they always tend to play with each other, like Ben White flicking his ears and them thing there. So yeah, but so that one, it weren't a real altercation, but you could tell that they were speaking about something that happened on the pitch, though. Like, but it was a light-hearted. Who's like, you know what sometimes you do with your brethren? They're like, yo, you fell asleep on that one there, G. Hey, hey, who you talking to? So it's all love. It's all love. We won the game, but the one in this situation here, it was a bit more. They was frustrated and quite angry with each other in the Nottingham Forest game. Whereas it's like, Ben White was the one that went over to Zinchenko first, and he was the one that said, talking to him about the goal, which he should have done better with. And then Zinchenko took something to that, and he's like, whoa, excuse me. Like, and I hear where both sides are coming from, because like Neil is probably more on the Ben White side of things, saying, nah, man, you got to do better. You can't keep letting these teams get in behind, like one diagonal pass, simple ball, keep doing you. And then Zinchenko's like, but bro, like that is not the reason why they've scored the goal. That why are you coming at me? So he's probably a little bit frustrated with himself there, but trying to get a little bit defensive at the same time. But it is what it is. And Arteta's comments were kind of interesting. Shall I say?
Yeah, they were extremely interesting. If I'm being 100% honest with you, let's actually get them up. I was watching a little bit of that interview that he
White and Zinchenko, are they friends this week, or are you encouraging that sort of level? White and Zinchenko.
Yeah, they've been in the same house for the last 3 days, sharing wives and everything. So that's fine. They live in together. They live in together now. They are best mates.
Now, well, this is where I was like, all right, listen, look, obviously, Tariq's got close bedrooms, I've got close bedrooms, one of them's getting married soon, big up himself. I've got my partner as well, I don't think I would be sharing partners, each other. Look, banter aside anyway, besides all of that kind of stuff, Arteta's done the right thing anyway, in my opinion. Ultimately, first of all, even if they were still beefing behind closed doors, that's not going to be something he's going to be like, oh yeah, they're still arguing till this day, etc., etc. He's not going to come out and say things like that. But the fact that he's come out and kind of said, look, in a joking way, and he's kind of played it off as well. And one thing about Arteta, of course, this is his first managerial job. One thing I'm noticing is remember, people forget he's still learning, by the way, on the job.
Yeah.
Like he's not like he's had 3 jobs before and he's been able to make all the mistakes, say all the wrong things. This guy is literally still learning on the job whilst he's still trying to get this team to win a Premier League, at the same time. The two are so difficult, to kind of comprehend, even for just like a Gary Cooper or just any type of manager. We're talking about a manager who's managing Arsenal. So yes, that comment, of course, silly, we know, and people are going to run with that. For on top of the what happened in Dubai when he was in the restaurant, I think I feel like things that are going on with Arsenal. I don't know what's in the water over there, but ultimately, Arteta is, of course, he's still learning on the job. So the things, certain things, I can see he's learning. Even just that situation, the fact that he's playing it off, laughing, joking, bantering, he's probably learned from potential previous, conversations that he may have had in regards to other players where it's been like, okay, he might not sell exact truth, but he might be a little bit too honest. And sometimes you don't want to reveal too much of what's going on in the back because you've got a massive game on Sunday. That's just going to fuel Liverpool because then we'll always know, all right, well, Ben White and Zinchenko, guys, on them from minute 1. On the and when players have got that impetus to get into someone from minute 1, some players can't handle that. You know what I mean? Some players will kind of falter, some will rise to it, but some will falter. On Zinchenko, quickly, just before we move on, and big up Neil. Obviously, he mentioned it there, and you mentioned it as well about this this diagonal pass. What is it with him and these passes, bro? Because I look at Zinchenko and think he's actually a decent player. He's someone who can invert really well. He can slot into like a midfield position, looks comfortable on the ball, an attacking threat. He's not even shit defensively. Like, he just has these dumb moments. Like, chat to us about that, man.
Gee, you've hit the nail on the head, bro. And this is why I love chatting to you about ball, especially because you don't run away with the narratives that we see on social media, or not even just social media, like in terms of Twitter. We see actual big content creators say, "Oh yeah, Zinchenko's just a crap defender, isn't he?" He's actually not. Like, he just has these moments in concentration. And do you know when they usually come, G? They usually come after the 75th minute. Towards the end of games, Zinchenko, like against when we played you at Anfield last season, Zinchenko was about to come off when Trent nutmegged him, clipped it to the back post, and then Firmino scored. That was it. Zinchenko was about to come off in this game when that happened. Like, with Montiel, got the header back across. So we was actually meant to bring on Kivior. That's what we was going to bring on in that moment. But he just seems to have, because he's not a natural defender, G. He's not. He never played in defense up until Pep Guardiola moved into left back and then really started doing this inverted role, and kind of because he did it with Fabian Delph initially, and he tried to get him to do it, but he just ended up playing as a left back, a normal, just like proper old fashioned left back in that time. And then when the whole Mendy injury and case thing happened, he had to use Zinchenko there, and Zinchenko was actually used in big games for Manchester City because he can defend quite well. He's actually, his best attribute defensively is aerially. So he wins a lot of headers. Like, statistically, he does well. And then when you watch him, and when there's you can't actually attack him aerially, but he'll have these lapses in concentration, like with that ball over from Trent to Salah, although that ball was tremendous. It was perfectly weighted. But the way he allowed Salah to get into the box, he kind of has these moments where he's like, oh, I don't know, what am I meant to do now? And that's where it's not a natural defender, where when you're a defender, you have to always expect worst case scenario. That you defend the worst case scenario. So if there's a cross coming in and your front man is meant to deal with it. So if you're the back post defender and you've got someone waiting at the back post, but your partner misses the first ball, you've got to be already ready to react and flick it out for a corner, or you clear it yourself. Zinchenko doesn't have those defensive instincts, unfortunately. He is vital for us, though, in terms of how we play. And especially now that we don't have Yuri Timber fit and available, and we don't have Tomiyasu due to his out for representing Japan, he is going to be important. And I don't want to see him past the 75th minute if the game's still tight, because I know what's going to happen. I've seen it before. I've read the script. I've seen it just in the last game, and I saw it when we played you at Anfield last season. But again, like we remember that Salah moment, G, but where you scored in the last game in the Premier League. But apart from that, I thought Zinchenko did a very good job against Mohamed Salah.
Yes. I was literally, before that situation happened, I was literally saying, because we all know, like let me not say we. There's a few of us like in the Liverpool group. We laugh about Salah. Enz knows, because I know Enz is he's waiting to get onto Salah any opportunity. But we always laugh about Salah and the type of defenders he comes up against, because there's certain left backs that Salah comes up against. They're not world class, and I'm not saying Zinchenko is or isn't, but they're not world class left backs. But he just struggles. The Cresswells, the Robinsons from Fulham. You know, those type. I don't know what it is about these kind of the Tomiyasu at the Emirates last season. Jesus Christ, he had him in his back pocket. It was disgusting. I've never seen, you know, Salah get pocketed like that before. But he comes up against these kind of guys, and I thought it was going to be another one of those performances. I was like, bro, are we adding Zinchenko to the list? Like Ake, like there's too many of these defenders, left backs that you come up against. Ain't Nori from Wolves. Like, why can't you just beat these kind of players when you're obviously such a world class, you know, kind of player? But then he makes that mistake, and then once he makes that mistake, I just almost feel that it's like the weight kind of just weighed him down for a little while in the game. Again, he's got the good touches. The way he moves into midfield, really, really good. And again, he's been doing that from Manchester City days. So it was kind of seamless coming into Arsenal's team. Can you do the same kind of job? Yeah, cool, no worries. I can do that. Not a problem. I do think, though, defensively, I'm not going to say he's rubbish. I don't think he's actually rubbish. But I do think that I almost feel that maybe Arsenal could utilize it in potentially a different way. But maybe that's not too much of a concern for Arteta in terms of, well, he's not that bad defensively. So if he's not that bad, if we really need someone defensively, Tomiyasu's there. Well, obviously, once he comes back from international duty. If we're coming up against a really top winger, Tomiyasu, you slot in, and then Zinchenko comes in.
Do you know what? I think we was actually going to lower his role this season. That was the plan.
Okay.
With Jurrien Timber signing. But of course, Jurrien Timber got injured in the first game of the season against Forest. And what we saw with Jurrien Timber against Man City in the Community Shield, man of the match performance. Him and Saliba in that game. It was when he came off and Tierney came on. That's when Man City scored. Cole Palmer wrapped it in. And Neil, again, spot on. I think Zinchenko was initially meant to be a third choice player this season in terms of our left back.
That's mad. That's actually mad.
In certain games, when we're playing Forest away, when you know you're going to dominate the ball, get Zinchenko in that game, because he a brilliant ball progressor, defense out there at the back. He's up there in terms of numbers with Trent, in terms of progressive passes, and then playing it quickly under pressure. He's good in those scenarios. But when you go into these tough away games, when you're playing against the level of Liverpool, you need someone. I'll even sacrifice those progressive passes for defensive stability. Someone, a Tomiyasu is the second choice, and a Jurrien Timber is the first one. Jurrien Timber had an outstanding game against Bernardo Silva, and I've seen Tomiyasu have it again. You mentioned it against Mohamed Salah, and Tomiyasu actually got a run in the team after that game. But then the issue was he broke down physically again. Bit like Thomas Partey when we talk about that. We have to kind of move on from them, these players who can give you a good role and do a very good job in certain aspects. But yeah, man, Zinchenko, ideal world, he would be our third choice left back. And maybe we'd see Zinchenko play more in the midfield role, G. Maybe we would see him step into that left side, him and Rice partnering into the middle in kind of like a double pivot kind of way. And then you can have Zinchenko out on the left because he can play out wide. He can play as an 8. He plays as an 8 for his country. And he's that experience playing there. But yeah, man.
Got a shot on him as well. Got a very good shot on him.
Exactly. He has got a shot. Scored a goal against Burnley this season, some scissor kick action. And he scored his first goal for us in a long range against Aston Villa. So, yeah, technically outstanding player. Carl Walker said it. He was one of the best technical players at Manchester City.
And think about the team that we're talking, Manchester City, who's still got Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne,
Mahrez, and
Mahrez and Flack, for him to say that, and you can see it though in the way that, in terms of the way that he plays anyway. But listen, we'll wait and see. Obviously, come Sunday, it is interesting. You did mention just before we move on to the key battles and areas. you mentioned, obviously, now I'm thinking about it because I didn't even really clock. Thomas Partey, injured. Tomiyasu, away on international duty. Jurriën Timber, injured. You know, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, you got to realize that's potentially 2-3 players, 2 at minimum anyway, potentially 3 players who go into the first team. It's like straight off the bat, they're into that first team. Obviously, depending on where Timber would have played or whatever, you know, that remains to be seen. But that's at least 2 players out of the 3. And when I think about other teams where you've got, like, when we look at Liverpool's team, Liverpool got players missing and stuff like that in terms of injuries, long-term injuries as well. But do they walk into the team? Probably not. When you're looking at Thiago, does he come into the team? Maybe not, because of McAllister and Endo obviously kind of doing their thing. He's going to be more, because of the type of player he is, a rotation kind of option. Matip might be one, potentially. I think Matip is Liverpool's second best defender actually at the football club. Konate just behind him in that regards. Robertson, obviously, he's just come back, but then Gomez is playing really, really well. So does he even get his spot back? That's going to be interesting for the predicted lineups, who I choose to go with. Obviously, Trent, he's only out for a couple of games, so not really long term, but it's not that many players who, especially from the beginning of the season, who I'm thinking, oh, well, this guy's been out, or he's going to be out for the whole season, but they walk into the team. Arsenal have had these players missing since the beginning of the season. Timber, we only got to see in that Man City game. I was actually like, because I was umming and ahhing whether I wanted him for Liverpool, purely on what role would he take. Then he started, I saw him in pre-season for Arsenal. I was like, oh shit, all right, cool. Yeah, he's actually all right. Something against Man City, I was like, yeah, he's actually more than all right. He's actually a decent player. Then he gets injured. And then it wasn't even like, oh, he's injured for a month. No, he's injured for basically the whole season. And I was like, that has got to be such a piss take, because you spent the money on buying this guy. So you're not necessarily going to just be like, oh, let's go buy another guy kind of thing. What would be the point? Because he's going to come back in. You've then obviously sent Tini out on loan. I don't know the situation with him in terms of what his role.
He's injured again, by the way.
Yeah, he's another one. He's kind of another one. You know, he's a good player on his day, but you know, he just gets injured, you know, far too much. So Arsenal have had their issues, man. Liverpool have also, by the way, people, I know they're gonna get at me anyway, but we've had our issues too.
The difference is, I think we've dealt with them okay at this point. We've dealt with them exceptionally. Like you basically going down to your third choice left back in Gomez, and and he's been brilliant. And I think Liverpool have looked better since Gomez has come in, and
conversation
because he provides that more balance in terms of what you have going down the right, whether it's a Trent or a Bradley, who's of course made his name now. They're real forward-thinking fullbacks who want to get forward, have that license to roam, whereas Gomez will then provide a bit more stability, and that I'm seeing even Konate rise, because he feels like I've got I can be my front-footed aggressive centre back that I can be, because I've got Virgil van Dijk, and Virgil van Dijk's got Gomez to the left of him, so you can really manage transitions excellently, which is what I thought you have done. So you guys have dealt with injuries perfectly well, my man.
No, I think, and even on that, just quickly, I think, because I've always looked at Liverpool and said, when Trent does his thing and he goes AWOL and we don't see him in the right back position anymore, we always have 2 players back, which will be Van Dijk, Konate, Van Dijk, Matip, Van Dijk and someone. The problem with only having 2 players back there is that it will always leave you very, very open at the back. Obviously, Van Dijk is such a good defender. You almost just take your chance of, he should be able to kind of deal with it, unless it's like 4-on-2, and we've seen him on a 2-on-1 situation against Spurs. He can deal with those kind of situations, but you're then relying on athleticism in someone like Konate, because he's very, very quick, he's strong, he's powerful, he can obviously do his thing, and Van Dijk the same, just adding in that he's more composed. So when we've now got Gomez there, I feel Liverpool can seamlessly slot into a back 3, and that's why I like it, because I'm like, now you have left-sided centre-back, Gomez, centre-back, Van Dijk, right-sided centre-back, Konate. Now these players, and Konate, and again, I'm not going to get into the battle Konate versus Saliba and all of this. I don't care about that. What I will say about Konate is he's improved on the ball. Now, before, I didn't look at Konate and say, I was scared. Anytime he had the ball and took more than 3 touches forward, I used to say, nah, He needs to just release it as quickly as possible. Now this guy is doing diags. He's passing in between the lines. He's controlling it, a lot better. And I think, just moving forward, that now we've got Gomez there. You're right. It does provide a balance in our defensive transition, but also going forward, because he's not Robbo where he's always going to keep bombing forward and he's almost playing left wing at times and, things like that. He will kind of hold it down and say, you know what, I'll get forward when I need to, but I'm more often than not going to think defense first. So
do you remember? Do you remember in the summer when you seen all these Liverpool lineups on Twitter? Everyone's doing a back three kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
We didn't really see that from Liverpool in the beginning of the season, and Robertson was struggling with that because he's naturally just someone who wants to bomb forward, very orthodox like left back in that sense. And that's where a few your little teething problems happen. But Gomez comes in, you've kind of got that exactly how you wanted there. And man, so well put together, G man, proper.
No, honestly, and big up Jerry, man. Me, Jerry, and Roms, we've done a video, I think at the beginning of last season, where we were because that's the year that we signed Nunes. And I said, and we said we wanted to have Liverpool play a back three. I said, you've got Konate, you've got Van Dijk, you've got Gomez. Play the flipping back three. Let Trent be that right wing back / inverted that we've obviously started to see, towards the back end of last season, and then Robbo or whoever you want on that left-hand side. And I think you'll start to see Liverpool play a different type of football, still with the same with the same kind of essence of pressing, trying to be on the front foot, win the ball back. Yeah, we still have all of that, but our actual progressive play will actually just get better. It's not going to have to be so direct, the passing and the movement of the players. I just felt like it would be a lot better. And look, ultimately, we're getting there now, man. We're getting there now. But we move on to the key battles and the key areas. In your opinion, just before I put up the couple of the stuff I got here, what's one key area or battle, whichever one you think is going to be on Sunday, in your opinion?
Okay, so we kind of spoke about it a little bit in the Zinchenko side. Whoever plays on the right, and because I think it's a perfect discussion for both of us here, because Arsenal, we know who we're playing in that left back position, and we're trying to think of ways and how to combat that. Let Zinchenko up against whoever his opponent is, and with Liverpool, there's few debates on who you're going to play on that right. Are you going to go with a Luis Diaz? Are you going to go with a Jota, who kind of played off there and had a free roll roaming in off that side? And who's going to play either on the right back position? Is it going to be a Trent? Is it going to be a Conor Bradley? And how I think Arsenal are going to operate with that is we're going to still, of course, have Zinchenko there, but I would go to a base in midfield where we have a more two players in there, where we can have Rice cover the left-hand side, really be support defensively for Zinchenko, and then we have Jorginho in there to take up the central areas of the pitch. And so and then we still allow Zinchenko to invert when he's in on the ball, but then we just move Rice and drift him a little bit wider and let him connect with Martinelli or Trossard, whoever plays on that left side. And then that's another topic. Who do Arsenal start in front of Zinchenko? Because, when we talk about the lineups, I'll get into that there. So that left-hand side in particular, I think that's where we are at our weakest and where Liverpool will try and target in that sense.
No, you're right. You kind of explained it all there, really. I don't know who, because I don't know the situation with Nunes, whether he's actually going to start the game. That changes who plays where. We haven't got Mo Salah. He's not going to be fit for the game, so we know he's definitely not playing. So I think it is just going to be a question of who kind of fits there. The Ben White, I look at that and I think Ben White's good, man. I like Ben White. I think Diaz did have a good game against him. We played at the FA Cup game. Was it FA Cup game? Yeah, the FA Cup game, I think that's we played in. But Ben White still showed me on his, like, if he just like an extra 5-10%, and he would have had a better game than Diaz on that side. So I do think that's going to be an area that Arsenal will need to look at in terms of defensively. But when we're looking at, say, for Liverpool, going the other way defensively, and obviously Arsenal in the attacking sense, I just think this is going to be the two battles. To be honest with you, and everybody here, I've not mentioned midfield because I think when we always talk about football, big games, the one thing we always say, and I think this has always stemmed from Patrick Vieira versus Roy Keane. Ever since then, every football game, every big match, the midfield, man, it's going to be a crazy. I don't always think it's the midfield obviously going to play their part. They're going to do their thing. But I don't always think that is going to be the key battle or that's the key area. I actually think for both teams, it is going to be in those wide areas because both teams possess very good wide players and very good defenders on those sides. So that's where for Arsenal, I'm looking at and I'm thinking, Saka, you need to have a good game, bro. You actually need to have a good game, bro. Like, because I put mad stocks in you at the beginning of the season, and right now I can't even sell the stocks because they're so low and they're pointless. Like, not in terms of that you've been so poor, but I just expected you to literally go into that bracket where I'm like, okay, you've got people calling you world class, might be premature, whatever you think. It doesn't really matter. But your performances last season were so good. I now need to see one consistency. But can you, because you're so young, can you go another level? Is there another level to Saka? And I just feel like people can show me the GA and I get all of that. But if we watch the games, actually look at the performances, I've not been too impressed. I don't know how you feel, obviously, in regards to Saka himself.
I think you're a very fair assessment in terms of that because we haven't seen him go above improve from last season. That's even if those people want to use GA, that's the fact. We haven't improved in terms of what we can do with our attack, and Saka has been one of them. He's been the best out of a bad bunch, and why Arsenal fans feel so protective of him in that sense. Not even because he's one of our own. It's mainly because he's done better and he's still arrived with moments. So when people have the world class thing, it's like, well, okay. Before you
even answer that, do you think he's world class? And then you can answer that.
Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? Yes. Do you want to know why I say yes? It's because I'm comparing it to the other right wingers in the world. Is he world class if we've got an average terms of class of right wingers where the right wing position now is dead? It's actually awful. Like Saka's been performing okay, like for his level, okay, high level in terms of the a lot in the work compared to the world, but literally not. Only one right winger has been better than him in the Premier League, and that's Mohamed Salah. And
that's true.
And that shouldn't be the case. Like Chelsea used to have an Iron Robin playing on that side. Man United used to have top wingers on there. Even Nani very inconsistent, but would have moments like kind of like towards what Saka's doing. We've seen right wingers in the past be like at a high level, whereas even in the world, like Real Madrid, their right winger, they're playing Rodrigo there. They move Valverde there at times too. It's a position that we're kind of lacking at the moment. So yeah, compared to the world, I think he's got it, and he's got it in moments. That's what we can't doubt. His performances have been a lot below par. When we played you in the FA Cup, he wasn't very good, and it's not that he wasn't impacting the game. It's you're in the final third. We're comparing you to Salah. We're trying to put you in the Salah bracket. I'm sorry. Salah puts those to bed. So that's why I hear you, OG, when you say, okay, you say he's world class, but we say Mo Salah's world class and he's not doing what Mo Salah's doing. And that's where I agree with you. It's like I would put Mo Salah in, it's like in a tier above because of what we're seeing. So Saka, it's disrespectful to put Saka's name with Salah there for me. I think it is as an Arsenal fan.
The thing is, and this isn't even aimed at you because it's not you that I'm even saying. It's more to the other ones because they're basing it of course last season. Which if you just went like by seasons and you had to say you had to put every player into a class bracket at the end of each season. Yes, last season world class. There is no debate about it. Whatever. If we're just talking in overall terms, the only reason why I don't have him is purely I don't need you to get Mo Salah numbers, bro. I actually don't need that because, again, then every top winger would then be a Mo Salah, if that makes sense. Meaning, are they then top wing? Like it starts to dilute what it actually is. For me, it's just about the consistency. I don't even care about your GA too tough. It's always the performance. Performance always comes before the GA for me. It's just how I am. It's how I just look at things.
Yeah.
If you're performing really, really well, and the GA will come. Top players, GAs come anyway when you're performing really well. Of course, the ones who like Salah last season who didn't perform well, that's why your GA then has to be like dumb numbers, because then you have to almost mask the fact that your performances ain't really there. Last season he was kind of poor, but I think he got over 40 GA. So it's like, okay, fair enough. This is why we call you one of the better players. Saka, for me, I'm just like, your GA is good. It's really not too much of a problem. I would still expect more. I would still expect more, but it's okay. Like, as you said, it's the best of a bad bunch. But just because it's the best of a bad bunch doesn't then mean that your performances can then still drop off. Why you guys are probably lucky, so to speak, is that it's hindering, but not hindering you. At the end of the day, you're still only 5 points off the top. You're not 10 points, and it's like, Jesus Christ, man, if Saka had just scored 10 more goals this season, would we be like, I don't feel like it's that situation, because he can still click into gear from now till the end of the season. And then we might be having a completely different conversation. And then he goes into that world-class bracket where you're like, all right, business end of the season, just like Man City, he was able to turn up. So we have to put him into that conversation. But he's just, listen, he's one of my favorite players in the Premier League, but I do just need to see a tad bit more from him.
Just the last thing I'd say, and it's like I hear you, because the performances haven't been there this season. Liverpool, both games didn't perform well. Really had moments, flashes of brilliance, but didn't perform well at all. Like, to put him in a world-class bracket, let's say. But then he didn't perform well against Chelsea. Had that one brilliant cross to Trossard in the back post goal. Didn't perform well against Brentford. Last minute whips it in onto Havertz's head. And then in the competition where we have seen his performances, and yes, it's the group stage, so we have to kind of take that with a pinch of salt. But his first season in the Champions League performed
good,
excellent. Like, man of the match in his first game in the Champions League against PSV, and people will say, "Oh, it's PSV." I don't know if they're still on this record, but haven't lost a game in the league this season. So they're a tough team to come up against. I know it's the level in the Premier League and Eredivisie is different, but still
they still haven't lost in the Eredivisie.
Still
19 games, 18 wins, 1 draw.
That's bro, serious team. Like, and then he's playing well against them. And then we're seeing him get goals and assists whilst performing well in the Champions League. So I think what you said to end it off was, let's see how you now do towards the end part of the season, because Neil said it here. Saka hasn't performed well since the end of last season. There was a disappointment from myself and Arsenal fans. Martinelli was the one who was trying to pull things together for Arsenal towards the end of last season, and then he's not had a good start to the season as well either. And first half, he hasn't had a good season overall, really, apart from the Champions League again.
Apart from the Champions League, exactly.
But yeah, man, this is it. Like, to really cement him in a world-class bracket, we need to see him turn up now. And yeah, whether Arsenal win a trophy or not, because when we talk about world-class players, would you class Harry Kane as world-class?
Yes.
Absolutely. Man's not won a trophy his whole career. So but we know...
It's mad, isn't it? It's so mad.
We know what he can do in big moments. Now we need to see you, Saka. You played well in the World Cup against France. I mean, French media and that were properly rating you. The only player that they were rating. You know how tough French media can be. So yeah, man. Well, but by the time the season's closed, I think we can. It's not like it'll be all said and done because Saka's still young, but we will know what if Saka's world class or not at that moment.
No, I totally agree. Before I move on to obviously Liverpool, there's one more player of Arsenal I did want to talk about. Well, there's actually a few, but obviously when we do the lineups, obviously we'll get into that with Tariq. He's disappointed me though, because I actually really do like this player as well. And he's actually pissed me off to the point where I'm like, bro, am I again? I don't understand why it's almost like I bought Bitcoin at the wrong time. I don't quite understand as to why you're not performing. I know you've had your injuries. I totally understand that, and I can get that to a certain degree. But again, you're another one. And remember, I don't understand how you guys are coming off a really good season, finishing as runners up in the Premier League. You're in the Champions League again. You're performing really well in the Champions League. I don't get why it's not just continuing along for Martinelli, bro. Like, what is even going on with him, bro?
I can't even use the injury thing with him, bro, because he's came back from that injury from the Man City game, and we saw from the very start of that Man City game he had a big influence, and he was the reason why we won that game as well. In the end, with his goal, but bro, it's kind of like he's coming up against a different test now, where Arsenal are regarded as and easily like one of the best teams in the league. Though Liverpool, Man City opponents are setting up differently. You're going to be asked different questions. It's not going to be you're not asked, oh, can you beat your fullback 1v1 now? No. Can you beat two players? Can you turn up where you in a game where you've not had as many touches as you want in the final third, but be decisive in those moments? Look at, I'd say again, I know he's not in the same position, but you could say stylistically he's quite similar in a Diogo Jota. I can see Diogo Jota have a quiet game and you're not really seeing much of him. But then one moment, Bournemouth, getting behind, bang, finish, dead and buried. Jota with assists can do that. And when Jota's played out on the left, you need to do that. And Martinelli is not being able to, he's not doing it. And you can tell it's affecting him in terms of his confidence. I've heard a lot of Arsenal fans, say, it's Arteta. He's just telling him to stay wide. It's just him. He's like, we need to change the tactics. He's not performing well with Havertz. We've changed that whole left-hand side. No. Reece Nelson, when he started against you, he was getting into positions I've been begging for Martinelli to get into. I'm like,
he should have scored actually, I think, in the game, if I can remember correctly. Yeah,
exactly. Well, I'm like, Martinelli, why can't we get you? Why aren't you getting into these positions? Everyone's saying it's Arteta, but I've seen Trossard now when he came in with Martinelli's injury, making those out to in runs and timing his runs better than what Martinelli's been doing. So I think it's more because Martinelli's lacking confidence. The place where he feels safe is on the outside of the team, because
I get you.
That's where because I'm not feeling myself. I haven't been able to score as many goals, and we're not creating as many chances, getting in behind teams. I'm just going to stay on the outside and not get involved in the mixer. You know what I mean? Where it's crunch time, where you need those little bits of creativity, ingenuity, which we know he can do. We know he's got that. He can shoot off both feet. He can score with his head. He's probably one of our best finishers at the club. When you say 1v1, so I think it's a season of learning. Again, I have to be. I know he's experienced now. When we've played it, he had it after the back of last season where he was our top goal scorer. He's still young, 22. Let him. He's having a down season. Let's see how he responds from this now. This game isn't going to be like the games that we faced. Nottingham Forest, your Evertons, them teams there. This game, you're coming up 1v1 against your fullback, and then you beat that fullback, you've got Konate to deal with. Konate in the Anfield game, he started off bright, Martinelli. Started off bright. I mean,
that's what I thought.
Carrying the ball, like, he's riding challenges. He's doing well. But then when he seemed to face Konate, it was right.
Yeah, just good long day. It was a long day.
Right. And then came off the bench against you. Was doing up Trent. I mean, that's where Trent picked up his injury. It was in a 1v1 battle against Martinelli. And then Trent moved into midfield. Conor Bradley came on. Game done. You didn't see him for the rest of that game. And you can't be having that. If people like to put Martinelli in that Saka bracket, we've got two of the best. Have we got the Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane regens? Bro, Sadio Mane, I remember how poor he was in his last season. First half of that last season. I remember he was poor. Klopp moved him into that false nine, exploded. Now,
Yeah, he did.
we're going to have a little tactical change. Maybe not move Martinelli to a false nine, but rotate more with Jesus, because I'm seeing Jesus pull wide and you take up them central positions. Now, let's see what you can do in the second half of the season now, Martinelli. Not tomorrow, Sunday, starting from there. If you're starting the game, hey, I need to see you have an impact. Like how you did at Anfield last season. Like how you did in Emirates last season. So yeah, bro, I hear you. I hear you. Why me and you have shared that frustration. I've been more frustrated at him than any other player this season in an Arsenal shirt.
Yeah,
bro.
because he just seems like Saka at the end of it. Like we know what he's about. Do you know what I mean? You don't think about him too tough because you just know how good he actually is anyway. But Martinelli, I had this feeling before. I almost feel like Martinelli could potentially be better than Saka, potential wise, if he was, because his style of play, I feel like it can fit into multiple type of systems. I don't feel like Saka can fit into multiple systems yet. Maybe that might change. Maybe I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. But I feel like someone like Martinelli, his raw ability that he actually does have, I feel like it can maybe be molded into different type of systems, which then allows you to then be able to play for a Manchester City as well as them playing for a Liverpool or an Arsenal, because they all three play completely differently. Whereas I feel that Saka might not, he wouldn't fit in a Liverpool team because of the way we want our wingers to actually play, but he might fit into like an Arsenal team, probably a Man City team in terms of similar to like a Mahrez in terms of they like to cut in, they're relatively skillful kind of thing, all of that kind of stuff. But Martinelli, his raw ability, and he's not, I'm not saying raw ability like a Nunes where it's like you're so raw that everything is just kind of stick movement. Nah, this is a guy who's actually genuinely quite fluid on the ball, good progressive carrier with the ball, got a bit of tricks to his game. His positional awareness at times when he was confident, and maybe not so much this season, was really, really good, understanding where he needs to be. 1v1s, he used to kill man on the wings constantly in his 1v1 battles. And I used to say, yeah, Martinelli, it's a long day. One, you're not catching him. I can tell you for free, don't bother, because you ain't going to catch that person. Once you see his number at the back, don't even bother running after him. Get back into centre back and get someone else to cover. But now, as you say, he just doesn't even seem confident when he is in those kind of positions. And listen, it might just be a case of being confident. Maybe, who knows, Sunday might be a perfect day for him to, get that kind of confidence back. But, we'll wait and see. When we're looking at Liverpool, I was thinking about this for time, because obviously I haven't got the foggiest idea as to who he's going to play. Does Trent play? I don't know. Does Nunes play? I don't know. I think Liverpool's biggest threat, though, is just the team. And when I say just the team, I don't think we have. If Trent plays, then it will be Trent in terms of key passing and making everything tick. If Nunes plays, running off the shoulders, he's a danger in the attacking third and all that kind of stuff. But I think Liverpool's biggest weapon is actually the team, because it can almost come from anywhere. So someone on the day will take up that mantle. So if Trent doesn't play, for example, Szoboszlai or Bradley or Nunes, if he does play. If Nunes doesn't play, you still got Diogo Jota, you still got Diaz. Listen, and people, the Liverpool guys in the chat, you already know. I'll be criticizing these guys left, right, and center. But what I will say for this season, watching them, one of the main things is that I almost feel when Trent plays, we go back into that role we had when we had Thiago in the team. Everyone just gives him the ball. And Klopp actually mentioned this after one match we played this season, where he said it's like you just keep giving Trent the ball and he has to try and figure something out. It's like, bro, the guy's so good at passing. I get why you do that. But if you just played as a team, the other players are still good enough to help you out. As we've seen, where we've got no Salah. Big up, I love Liverpool, you just mentioned. I like how Noah mentioned we've got no Salah. Listen, he's the king. You'll notice when he ain't there. But Liverpool have been scoring goals without him anyway, this whole period of time. So you're not really that fussed that you don't have Mo Salah. Of course, you'd want him, but you're not like, bloody hell, we're going to absolutely get no chance to score no goals, because the other players are stepping up. Midfield, stepping in with goals, with assists, defensively been really good. And then the defense in itself, you've got the best goalkeeper in the world, arguably the best centre-back in the world, coupled alongside right backs and other centre-backs. the way that Liverpool are this season, I think it's more of a team. Whereas before, it has been a lot about other players, of course, have helped in that, but it's been a lot about individual quality. So when we were in our pomp, it was more about the individual qualities of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, maybe Robbo as well thrown in there. Those four, they were like, okay, these four have to play every game or Liverpool ain't even getting a chance in the match. Now, I'm not even looking at the team and thinking, nah, we're not going to get a chance. I know Liverpool will have at least, and I'll even say it here for the Arsenal game, Liverpool will have at least 10 shots at goal. Whether they're on target, I don't know. But Liverpool have at least 10 shots at goal. And that's me thinking, even if there is a Trent or no Trent, even if there is a Nunez or no Nunez, we'll have 10 shots at goal. Do you get what I'm saying? It's just because of the way that we play, the way that Klopp obviously wants to set everything up, it's about the chance creation. And it's funny, in its simplistic form, when I think about it, and me and Jerry laugh about how basic it is, but it's true. Liverpool's so basic in what they try to do that it's so good, because all it really is direct and loads of chances. But guess what? If you don't buy a lottery ticket, you ain't ever going to be in a chance of winning the lottery, are you? We can sit here every day, every Friday night saying, oh man, they must be sick winning the lottery. You know, that 86 mil, yeah, that might be crazy to walk away. You'd never see me on YouTube again. Do you get what I mean? I'll be done and dusted. But guess what? I'm not buying a lottery ticket. So I'm not even giving myself the opportunity to even get there. And obviously, I'm not even going to talk about him today because I've done it for the whole season. Nunez, he had 11 shots the other day, didn't score any, but then gets himself an assist. Ultimately, with someone like him, the fact that he does get himself into these positions is always going to be good. And I'll say that 10 times over. Of course, though, it would be nice if you at least just scored one. Just give us one, and I'm happy. Just give me 1 out of 11, and I'm not going to beef you about it every single week. But unfortunately, you know, that's just the way it is. But that's how I kind of see Liverpool in the game, and that's why I think I'm confident, but I'm not stupid. I've watched football. I saw Wigan beat Manchester City in an FA Cup final. So, and I know Tariq's seen some crazy results down the years. So, not to say, oh, this isn't anything can happen as if Arsenal are a small team. No, but it is to say we are confident because we're in a good run and we're in a good place. But then a loss to Arsenal, if we're not ready, if Arsenal shock us in any type of way, all of a sudden now things just start to go a little bit pear-shaped, and you know things start to look a little bit different. But you know, we'll wait and see, man. We'll wait and see. Guys, big up everybody who's in the chat as well. Make sure you are smashing the like. Make sure you do subscribe over to Tariq's Football, please, please, please. As I said, don't be bums, don't be bozos. It's literally in the effing description. All you gotta do is click it, and you're good to go. How we'd line up in the game. Just before I even get, we'll start off with Arsenal because they're home team, and then we'll go on to Liverpool. Is it 4-3-3 that you're starting with? Just so I know, I'm going to put it up now.
Do you know what? I've changed my mind during.
This is your lineup that you would want to. I don't want to see what you think Arteta would do. Okay. What you would do in this game.
Okay. Would I line up? Would I line up with a 4-3-3 if it was me picking the team?
Yeah.
No. 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1.
All right, let's get it up now.
This is how I would line up. And
cool. Let me just change that.
And as I'm saying how I would line us up, I'll say how thingy Arteta I think he may do as well. Okay, basically the back five is pretty easy, and David Raya, bro. Thank you. I know you'd probably speak to some Arsenal fans on here, and they'd say, "Oh, let's bring in Ramsdale," because if it was me picking, I'd pick Ramsdale. No, for me, David Raya. From the overall goalkeeping aspect, better goalkeeper. Claiming crosses,
yeah, I think so.
Much better at claiming crosses, much better in terms of his distribution, and it's not even in terms of his actual kicking. It's his choice of distribution is better than Ramsdale. His braveness on the ball, his bravery that he can have, and he can play much higher up the pitch than a Ramsdale because he's just much more of a confident goalkeeper. So I'd actually go with David Raya as well. Left back, because we've got no other choice. We've got Zinchenko. If Timber was fit, from what I've seen from him, I'd start him. And if Tomiyasu's fit and Timber's not fit, I'd start Tomiyasu at left back.
When is Timber back, by the way? Like, is there like a date-ish kind of thing?
They're saying that he should return to training for first team training early March.
Okay, so next month. Okay.
Yeah, but because he's been out for so long, it might take him like a few weeks in training first before he gets involved in the first team games. So we might see him end of March, early April at the earliest, really. But you know how ACL injuries go; they can get setbacks and thing there. So
I think you guys will do a behind closed doors friendly though. I feel like that would for him. I feel like you'd have to do that just to get him, or even under 21s football, like just to get him into football for a sec and then get pushing. But he's a big miss, man.
100%. The centre backs goes without saying. Gabriel in at that left side there, who. If we're talking about Arsenal player of the seasons, he's been
good.
For me, he's it because he's been so consistent, bro. Very consistent. Like I saw Saliba have a poor game against Forest last game. I've not seen Gabriel have a poor game yet this season. I think maybe I was speaking to Ozzy about this yesterday. When we talk about Gabriel and players, sometimes we have a little bit of a hangover in our head. We have moments where last season at the start he was quite poor. Giving away penalties and lapses in concentration, but he's matured and he's a much more well-rounded player. The same way you described Kanate, he's improved on the ball massively. I think the same's gone for Gabriel. Neil, spot on, underrated Gabriel. Every year he has grown.
Do you think this is why I'm seeing more and more why people compare Arsenal with Liverpool. Van Dijk, Saliba, you got the calm one, you got the one who looks good on the ball. His hair is always fucking neat. Like I never see even the shape up of Saliba. So I'm like, right, how is your thing so sharp? Van Dijk, his hair is always slicked back. I've never seen it even come out of the bun once, kind of thing. Then you got Gabriel, and Kanate, who are the brutes kind of thing. They're the ones who, because of the nature of the way that they play. People always look at them and say they will have bozo moments, regardless. That it's just because of the way that they play. But both of them, I have to admit, have gotten better on the ball, as you said, and they have actually grown as individuals with age and time. So, I agree. I agree, man.
Totally agree with you there, bro. And in at right back, Benjamin White. That's who I'd start too. Me again, bro. If Tomiyasu's fit and we had Toure and Yuri and Timber on the left, from what I saw from this season, Tomiyasu is better than Ben White. Tomiyasu, before Tomiyasu got injured, he was starting ahead of Ben White.
Fair enough.
Because Tomiyasu was playing quite well. He had that wonderful switch out in the Lons game. And I think Tomiyasu is a better 1v1 defender than Ben White out wide.
I hear it.
But I think Ben White's better than Tomiyasu going forwards. So in certain games, he suits that a little bit better. But Ben White in at right back. And then the reason why I've gone for a 4-2-3-1 is to kind of help with Zinchenko's defensive lapses. I'd put Rice in that left centre midfield role. And then someone who naturally likes to drift out to the left anyway. He's comfortable. That's the role he played in 5 years or so at West Ham. And that's where he likes to. Do you know when players have a favourable side, how they like to go towards a pitch? I think that's the left side is Declan Rice. He likes to go from the out to in, across, long switch out to the right, and I think that could work with Saka. And then into the base next to him is Jorginho. We started with this midfield up against you in the FA Cup.
Ruffle a few feathers because I know people don't like. I know some Arsenal fans don't like Jorginho, but.
It's I think it's the Chelsea factor and the fact that his glaring weakness is athleticism. But Jorginho has never been the quickest. He's never been a quick, strong, athletic player in that sense. But why he's had such a good career and played at such high level and consistent for his national team is what is in between his ears, is that brain, technical ability, his passing. I saw him come on against Crystal Palace, literally. We scored 2 more goals because of him. His passing, playing it through quickly, progressive. He's a much more natural playmaker from deep than Declan Rice is. So I think it's good to have him against your high press. You're going to be pressing us up high. Can we have players who are going to calm it down, win a free kick. You know, the fouls that I hate most in football, G. You know, when players are facing the work towards their own goal and the slightest bit of contact, drop.
And they go down. yeah.
It's never been a foul on the playground, never been a foul in Sunday League. So I don't understand why they do it on the Premier League.
On the playground, listen, bro. If you ever did that on the, in fact, it wouldn't even come into your brain of thinking. You actually wouldn't even do it.
You get
because
booted,
you'd be like,
bro,
you get booted on the ground while like it's not happening, bro. It's not happening.
Exactly.
It's not happening.
For real. And I think that's the most balance that we've got right now. Ideally, yes, Thomas Partey, that's the one who I'd play in there, but you know, injury and that. Okay, so the team that I'm going to play, G?
Yeah.
This is where it gets
not Arteta. Let's take him. Let's say you are Arteta for the day. I just want to know what you would play. I'm intrigued.
Right. Slap Gabriel Jesus out on that left side for me, then, bro. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Have him starting from there, and then I would put Erdegaard again in behind. That kind of goes without saying. Our skipper, our captain. Need him to have a big game as well, man, bro. He was better. Yeah. I think he's improved. Like against Liverpool, he's always hidden for me. But this season, Anfield, he was okay. Like he was better than he was last year against Anfield, where he was completely anonymous. But he was okay. In the FA Cup, I'm seeing he's having much more of an influence on these. In this, like I think he was involved in probably like 3 out of 4 chances created in the first half.
Yeah.
When he hit the bar,
shouldn't he have scored? Yeah.
When he hit the bar, and he should have done better with one pass there too. I think he has some like, bro. I think he has a complex when it comes to Alisson, bro. Like when he sees, do you remember when we played you 2 seasons ago? In the Emirates, and then Thiago played that ball back, and then Erdegaard played, and then Lacazette played it to Erdegaard. It was a back pass.
I just remember now.
And Erdegaard hesitated, and it was 0-0 at this point in the game. And Erdegaard hesitated.
But Alisson is a presence, though. He's a presence, bro. Like he is a presence at times. So
best keeper in the world, bro. So that's the goal with that. Yeah, I understand it. with Erdegaard, but yeah, man, like be more.
He does need to have a. He does in big games. I'm not going to go into again. I'm not going to go with the narrative that in all the big games that we've seen Erdegaard play, he's just been shit, because that's what people keep saying. I'm like, nah, because I've seen him play well in other games, and you haven't won not because of him. It's other factors at play defensively, or you know, giving away a stupid goal, or whatever the case might have been. But he does need to have a big game, bro, because he's such a dope player. I'm like, this is where this again, like Saka, when you have these kind of games, that's when man are looking at you. That's why we looked at you in the first place. So we thought, all right, no, he's doing his thing, and overall he's having a decent season. But that's when nobody really knew what you was about. Now we all know what you're about, and you're playing in these big games. We all know in these big games, big managers, what they like to do. That now they're thinking more about you. Now they're like, watch out for Erdegaard. You know, last season he was scoring goal. He kept arriving late into the box, edge of the box, finishing. He had all of the passing and the movement, the showing for the ball, you know, finding himself in good positions. This season, I almost feel like he's doing it, but not at a consistent rate. But also, it's almost like you haven't really pushed on, bro. Like, I need you to, again, like Saka, we need that next level for you, bro, to really cement your place in the game. But he's young. So we have to wait and see.
And it's true, bro. And then when we're talking about world-class levels again, the reason why I put a Saka ahead of Erdegaard, I've seen Saka do it for consistently. Arsenal been crap. He's been our best player. And now Arsenal are good. He's still our best player. Like that's where I go for Saka. Whereas Erdegaard, you had a great season last year, world-class levels, as you said, G. But just need to see it in those big moments, big games, on a consistent basis. But Saka in and that right again, kind of goes without saying, in terms of what I expect from him. And I know he scored against you twice last season, but I need to see more from Saka against Liverpool in particular.
Yeah.
And this is a big opportunity again to do so, and give us Arsenal fans more confidence and belief. Okay, and now down the middle,
this is where it gets interesting.
Neil Gunner, you've hit the nail on the head yet again. I am going for Kai Havertz.
Okay, no Martinelli. Okay.
I wouldn't.
Chat to us, man.
The reason I have gone for Kai Havertz and no Martinelli is I think that with Arsenal, where's a lot of our goals, I mean, not all of them, but a high proportion of our goals come from, set pieces. Kai Havertz.
He scored against us at Anfield. Set piece. Yep.
Kai Havertz can give you the false nine capabilities. He can hold the up link up well, not to the level of Jesus when he's playing up there. I don't want whenever I've seen Liverpool get caused a little bit of trouble is when they're not coming up against an orthodox striker.
Yeah.
When
I hear it.
And Kunku came on, and I'm seeing a lot more problems being caused for the
there was
defenders.
panic back there when he came. I was like, what's going on? Like 2 minutes ago, we were fine. But he come on and it was kind of, they weren't good. Yeah, I get what you mean. It's like we just changed our kind of mentality when he came on the pitch. I was like, fair enough.
Think of some of the games. I know you've only lost one game and it was against Tottenham. But think of some of the games where you've struggled against G. Remember me and you chatting after a Brighton game on Twitter?
Yeah.
I think we was chatting during the game, actually.
Yeah, during the game, yeah. Because I was so vexed with the game. I was like, bro, what is going on?
Yeah, Brighton don't play with an orthodox nine. Even when Evan Ferguson does play, he's a roamer. He likes to go, he drop deep, really like playing to the pockets and link up well. I think of a Newcastle, Alexander Isak. He's not an orthodox striker. Peels off to the left, likes to play drive and dribble, face up his opponent.
He always scores against us. He scored against us when we beat them the other day, and he scored. He scored before. Yeah, he's always scored against us. Always.
And exactly, bro. So those are the players that cause Van Dijk. I mean, not necessarily just Van Dijk, but your defense issues. Because if your defense physically is destroying any striker, really, unless it's even I've seen Haaland be anonymous against you.
Yeah.
He's the most complete athlete at the moment in time, strength, speed, and I've seen you just make him completely quiet. And then speaking about Manchester City, I know it was last season, and last season was pretty poor for Liverpool. But the game where Man City won 4-1, who played up front? Alvarez.
Julian Alvarez, yeah. And I said it when we come up against, you know what? Now I'm even deep in it because it's actually true. When we come up against these false type of strikers who are actually good, not a Cole Palmer who's like a fake false nine. When we come up against an actual good false nine who can play the role really well, I think it disrupts our flow because we almost are so used to having someone up top who most teams will kind of try to play to them and play obviously towards whatever strengths that they have. And that striker stays there, usually because they're trying to play on the counter attack. Alvarez wasn't trying to do that. This brother was popping up in weird areas, and you're like, we can't even move up as a team as we want because we already leave space in behind. So when you've then got a guy who's doing false nine, you're thinking, he's not even around us. 1 minute you look that way, next minute, shit, he's already run past us. So we've already done this. He's already going that way. And with all the other runners, it's game over. No, you're right, actually. You're right.
Bro, and the final thing, Kai Havertz's best games in the Premier League shirt have come up against Liverpool.
Yeah, them headers, man. Fucking up.
Even in Carabao Cup final, he's putting chances on a plate for Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic, them man there. Like Kai Havertz, yes, whatever you may think of him, and I know it's a big waste of money or whatever Arsenal fans say about him, and okay, you're right. I mean, you've got a point because a lot of people agree with you, and he's not performed as well as we hoped from him this season. But what he has given us is we know what we're going to get a base level from him, and it's a 6 out of 10. Rarely we got an 8 out of 10, but a 6 out of 10. We know what we're going to get, a direct option. Bro, look at this left-hand side. I watched the game back against when we played you at Anfield. We went so direct in that first half. Do you know what we did? We pinned Havertz on Konate.
Yeah.
And whether Konate won the ball isn't the problem. It was pinning it on him, and then we got around a second ball. Whether Havertz or Konate won the ball, that weren't the thing. We was playing for the second ball because Trent isn't his game isn't, winning duels 1v1. He's not a tough defender like that. So we play over there and we let the man scrap for it for the seconds. Who wants the second ball? Chuck a Declan Rice over there. Put your Jesus in there now, who is a battler, who will give us those. If it's a duel, he's winning it against your right back, and whoever your right back is.
Yeah, he will.
So, man, it's that's why I'm picking that. And then you have a bit, and you still maintain the fluidity where Havertz can drift out left, and then Jesus goes for the middle. And then the final reason I say again why I'm not starting Martinelli is what when we mentioned about Thomas Partey, I worried that we lacked power and pace, physicality coming off the bench. Martinelli gives you some power up. You know what I mean? Liverpool have whatever you think of Gravenberch, physicality, power into that midfield. Whatever you think about Nunes, when Jota, Diaz, and Salah start, Nunes comes off the bench, pace and power. Whatever you think, Jota, when he comes off the bench, he gives you power in there and physicality. You know he's winning headers. You do know that.
He's definitely winning headers.
So that's why Liverpool, you are where you are, man, because you've been able to maintain that physicality. The P&P is what thrives in the Premier League. P&P is the most important in this league than any other league. That's why Conor Gallagher thrives. That's why Kai Havertz still has a career. That's why we've seen so many average ballers, like who technically average, thrive in this league. Like you've got one of your best captains in recent years is Jordan Henderson, and it's no disrespect. He's not an awful footballer. Don't get me wrong, but we've seen much more technically better footballers struggle in this league.
100%. We've just seen better footballers in this league over time. Forget, we don't even have to be nice about it. But you're right. That PMP for him, it's made his career to the point where he is now one of the most successful Liverpool, if not the most successful in terms of the trophies he's won than one Steven Gerrard. Do you know what I mean? And that's a whole different conversation, to potentially have. So no, you're right. You're right.
So we need some form of P&P off the bench, and Martinelli gives us that.
So guys, this is T's lineup, not what he thinks Arteta will play. And the reason why I'm asking that, because I'm going to do the same now for my lineup, is because I'm more interested to know because for all we know, he might play this exact lineup. So you already know, all right, cool, me and the manager are thinking the same thing. He might not, he might go completely different and, do something a little bit different. But it's just always interesting. I like hearing what other people think about their lineups for whatever games are coming up, more so than predicting what the manager would do. Because I'm always like, sometimes if you know what the manager is going to do, then you know straight away, however you see, I don't know, Martinelli might come in, no Havertz, whatever the case, no Jorginho, whatever it might be. But sometimes you might be sitting there thinking, but in this type of game, maybe if we go with this lineup, and it'll be interesting to see whose lineup works, basically, because ultimately he's going to choose his own lineup. If he doesn't go with yours and you win or lose, it's always great conversation afterwards, because then you're like, bro, if you just went with my flipping double pivot in the first place, like you tried to do in the second half in the 60th minute, all of them kind of conversations, man. So I'm going to leave that one up there and I'll show you guys again come the end. Let's go to my lineup real quick. All right, cool. Let's get this up. So I've already filled in a couple positions because they were very, very obvious.
Whilst you're doing that, Nigeria through. They'll be Angola.
I really wanted them to lose, man. I really wanted them to lose. But, it is what it is. Let me not be a hater. All right. So, up against Arsenal, 4-3-3. We know Liverpool ain't deviating from that. Let me not even try and pretend we're going to do something completely different. There was only 3 positions I could think of in the entire team that they're going to play. Everywhere else, I couldn't really tell you. There's maybe one more in there, to be fair, in terms of DM position, because it's the only one we've got. But everywhere else, question marks. So we'll start off at left back. I would personally go with Joe Gomez.
I second that.
Him against Saka, with Robbo just coming back, I don't feel like this is the type of game that you want a potentially resurgent or a potential player who wants to kind of, start kicking on for the season and is already a good player. You've just come back from an injury. Maybe you come on in the game. Maybe you come on later. One, if we need you to come on, i.e. we need a goal, because then you can provide that width down that left-hand side. Gomez obviously is not as good as you down the left-hand side going forward. We know that. But what Gomez is really, really good at is that what me and Tariq was saying before about you now can slot into a back three. When Trent, and he's the player I'm going to play in right back, when you've got Trent moving forward, it is now a more settled back three. And you're not forcing Robbo into positions that he might not be necessarily comfortable with in both attacking and defending transitions. So that's why I've gone with Gomez. But if anybody wants to go with Robertson, I'm not going to kick down the door screaming, because I can hear why you might choose someone like Robertson because of what he offers you. But I don't think this is the game that you start him. I think you can wait another game, for him to kind of come in. Right back. Listen, guys, I know Connor Bradley, he's been really good for 3 or 4 games that he's played. I totally get it. I get it. I'm with you guys. It took me a while because I like him, but I'm like, meh. And I get why people are saying, no, he's got to play defensively. He's probably a more rounded right back than Trent Alexander-Arnold. Even at this age of 20, I think he is. So I get why you'd want him to play. But we're trying to win a title. I just feel in a game as big as this, I would much prefer to see Trent Alexander-Arnold play because of who I've got in midfield. And obviously we'll get into that in a sec. But because I've got the midfielders I have got, I'd rather start Trent in that right back position, doing the inverted thing that he obviously loves to do. And then you can still have your settled back three up against obviously Arsenal's attack, as opposed to not saying that Bradley cannot start in this game. Again, I'm not saying that you guys are, I'm going to kick down the door screaming with that, because he's been good in these last couple of games. I do think, though, we do tend to, as Liverpool fans, and maybe other fans as well, but really with Liverpool, we do go a little bit too far. Absolutely. When we see our young players play. We've seen this guy play for all of 4 or whatever, 5 games I think he's played recently, and all of a sudden, oh my goodness, he should be the right back, for the future. Trent, move him into midfield. Well, hold on a minute. First of all, how about we just keep Trent in the position that he's in, because he's clearly comfortable in that position and he's playing well in that position. Secondly, if you move Trent into midfield, you're going to have to drop one of the midfielders. Everybody keeps telling me the midfield is good. So who are you dropping now? McAllister? Zabozalai? Curtis Jones? You don't want to drop these guys. So he can't go into that position at this current moment in time. Not saying Bradley's time won't come, but right now, let's just keep it the way it is. And I think you play your strongest team, and that for me would be Liverpool's strongest back line anyway, back 5, and obviously Alisson in goals. But
I just said, I have a little thing on that. Is I think we have to remember as well, guys, is this is a factor who's more experienced in the big games.
Exactly.
You have to remember that, man. Like, yes, Conor Bradley's done excellently in the games that he's played, but at the end of the day, this would be you're throwing him to the Lions in this type of fixture, because you're coming up against top quality. No, I'm not disrespecting his performances, because he has been outstanding. And if he was doing a combined 11, he would be in over Ben White for me. So that's how good in terms of form he's been on. But in this away game against Arsenal, starting against a tough Arsenal team that could play Jesus, could play Martinelli from the very beginning, that is a different question than posing against this Chelsea team. I'll be honest. Poor Chelsea team. It's at Anfield. Exactly. So, yeah, kind of have to remember that, guys. I understand your reason in terms of a profile, but don't forget, big games matter. Big game experience does matter.
No, it's true. And big up Scraps. I hear you in terms of I'll play the players on foot. There is an element of that, hence why I've gone with Gomez and I've not played Andrew Robertson and told him to just come, I mean, he was out for a long time anyway, so he's still needs to work his way back into match fitness. But we're like, I almost feel like people are acting as if like the player dropping Trent to the bench as if we're just dropping some, he's okay. Like he's all right. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but okay. It's almost like you've just said, okay, we're just dropping Ben White to the bench and we're just playing Bradley kind of thing. Bro, you're talking about the guy who the game's literally going to go through him. Like, it's literally going through him. In a big game like this, I feel like you can bring Connor Bradley on if you really need to be honest with you, bro. Like, I just don't see why, unless he has a type of injury that's like, yeah, I'm not still 100%. I'd rather come off, or come on, should I say, maybe. But then I'm like, if you're on the bench, just start the game then. Like you can come off and we can bring Bradley on later on, and you can bring Bradley on to, if you want to go more defensive, that's when you bring him on and you can say, okay, we don't need that threat no more down that right hand side. You can provide it, but we need you to be a bit more rounded. Guess what? Can Bradley, you come on, Trent maybe move into midfield, and then we can swap it around any other way. I would just prefer to see Trent, but I'm not gonna moan, if I'm being honest, if I see Bradley there. But I think again, people just got too excited seeing Bradley these last few games, and I'm like, the guy just literally came yesterday. He's an okay player in a general sense. We don't know if this is a long-term thing or if this is just purely based on form. The problem he's going to have is the same problem you have with Mo Salah, which is it kind of doesn't matter how good you do because the player who you're replacing is way better than you anyway. So he's going to come back into the team at some point. So at some point in time, you will get dropped regardless. We can start that now. He can always play the next game after this. I think we've got Burnley or someone coming up. He can always play that game and start it. We've got a cup final coming up. Maybe he plays the game before the cup final, so Trent can play the cup final. Maybe he plays the cup final, which I doubt. But there's ways, which we can kind of maneuver this. So let's see what he does. Let's just see what he does. DM, I've gone with Callister. Last few games, he has really impressed me in terms of he's now become a very steady performer. Before question marks from myself and quite a lot of other people in terms of his performances. But I just think that, in the last couple of weeks, he's really come into his own. And the performances, in my opinion, they haven't been great. But what they have been is you've just been steady. You've stayed at a consistent performance level. And I find that so much more sweeter sometimes than a player who's going to be amazing for 2 games, shit for 4, okay for another, and then amazing randomly in another game. I'm like, nah, keep it consistent, bro. Because that consistency, then that's your base level from now on. James Milner, base level, consistently good. But then he has those games where you're like, oh my God, this guy is flipping. What's he done today? And I feel like McAllister slowly is getting into that kind of bracket. So I would go with him. I feel like the midfield kind of picks itself, to be honest. Curtis Jones, probably Liverpool's best midfielder this season. That left central midfield slot, we all thought McAllister would come in there and take it off of him. He hasn't done so. He's deserved his spot in the team. And Zobo, I would go with Zobo for this game. I did think about Elliot. I did think about it for a sec, purely for the enthusiasm, the energy, and the fact that he's left-footed coming in off that right-hand side. He can almost cut in and angle those passes a little bit differently than a Szoboszlai. So I did think of Elliot, but again, big game, big players. I kind of need him in this kind of game, and I don't mind having him on the bench because his best performances this season have come by coming off the bench. So yeah, I think I would go with Szoboszlai. It's the attack that I am absolutely fucked with, though. That is where I'm still scratching my head. So let's say there's no Nunes, right?
Okay.
If there's no Nunes, I'll go with.
We'll see both. Because even with Nunes, I want to see how you line it up. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Without Nunes, I think that's the attack. Yeah, that gives me the most fear. I think, and in that position, those positions as well. Jota, when he came on against us, Saliba, I think Saliba handled Nunes very well in the FA Cup. I mean, in both games, he was excellent. But when Jota came on, the first thing he did, he got Saliba booked.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, and then he got that header against the bar. I'm like, nah, Jota's a problem, man. Jota is a problem, and I fear him more than Nunes playing up top. It's not that I say Nunes won't score, but in terms of, I feel like Saliba can match Nunes. I don't think he can match the intelligence of Jota in every scenario. Not in every single scenario. And then Diaz up against in the pace of Zinchenko, and he's still got some physicality with Gakpo. So yeah, I like that.
Nah. The only if what's his name, Nunes was playing, I think I would just literally just change it to.
And again, Nunes out when he played against White. He was giving White problems when he switched out to the left. Yeah.
It's a tricky one. So it's just that left wing spot. I think Diaz and Enz is probably laughing right now, wherever he is right now. He's probably flipping, laughing his head off because he sees me putting Diaz right wing, and me and him were constantly. I was going back and forth with Enz for time because I was like, bro, why are we even putting this guy right wing? We've not seen him there. I'll be too honest. The only reason why I put him here for this situation is because we ain't really got anybody else. I think. I mean, you could play Harvey Elliott there. You could play him. I just think it would just make more sense, in my opinion, with what we have available to put him out there on that right wing, because I don't think Gakpo is going to be comfortable that much playing on the right wing. I think even Gakpo on the right wing at times, he looks like he almost gets isolated when I've seen him in those kind of right wing, that kind of position. Even when he's playing up front and he drops to the right-hand side, he almost just gets isolated out there doing nothing. And I'm like, yeah, you don't seem like you're that comfortable, because you are a player who wants to kind of cut in. He loves, we've all seen it. This guy will shoot as many times as possible as he can. He always likes to cut in and boom, get that shot off. He can't do that on his left-hand side. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be quite difficult to do. So yeah, that's my lineup, people. Again, if you're watching this on the replay, let us know, of course, your lineups. I'll show you Tariq's one again. I wish I could bring up two at the same time, actually. That would actually be really, really good. That's it. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So obviously this is what Tariq's gone with. So he's got David Raya in goals, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White. In midfield, he's gone with the pivot, Declan Rice, Jorginho. In the number 10 role, of course, Martin Odegaard. Out left, which is a shocking one, he's got Gabriel Jesus. Of course, on the right-hand side, he's gone with Bukayo Saka. And up top, guys, remember, I didn't say it, he said it. He's gone with Kai Havertz. So, interesting one, of course. Again, guys, if you haven't watched it and you're watching this on the replay, make sure you go back and obviously listen to why he's chosen Kai Havertz, because he had to explain himself, because I was confused. I didn't know that's the way he was going. But, you know, it is what it is. To my lineup, that's the one. I've gone with, of course, Ali, Joe Gomez, Van Dijk, Kanate, and Trent to come back in for this game. Bradley drops to the bench. Midfield, same midfield, McAllister, Jones, and Szoboszlai. Up top, I know we've got Darwin Núñez there for now. If he's not available to start, then it will be Cody Gakpo, Diogo Jota, and Luis Diaz. Again, that leaves you with a couple players on the bench to be able to come on, affect the game as best as they possibly can. So it's going to be an interesting one. Let's move on to the last bit, which is the favorite part: score prediction. Chat to me, bro. What's your score prediction? Guys in the chat, let us know in the chat as well what your score prediction are. Sorry, go on.
Do you want me to go in my head or my heart?
Your head. I don't even want you to go with your heart. Go with your head. Go with your head.
Do you know what? With my head's telling me we're not winning this game. If there is a winner, it's Liverpool. And it's just because I feel like in the crucial moments, I trust Liverpool to put the ball in the back of the net more than we do. Mm-hmm. If both teams have the same amount of chances, I think that you're more likely to score than us. So my thing is, though, I think we will have periods of domination and periods of control where we were like, wow, you know what? Yeah, we're coming up against a good Arsenal team here. Kind of like how you did against in the FA Cup, where you're like, yeah, we've got to be careful. But then Liverpool will figure it out and Liverpool will create chance of their own. But I feel like it'll be one of them cagey ones at points too, where there'll be periods where both sides won't want to make mistakes. So I'm going to go for a draw, but I'm going to go for a high-scoring one. 2-2 draw. But if Liverpool take the lead, I don't see us coming back at this moment in time. So Arsenal will need to take the lead, and then Liverpool.
Okay.
Come back.
That's what I'm trying to think. If you're saying a draw, but you don't think, okay, cool. So 2-2. Yeah. Who do you think will score for you?
I think Gabriel Jesus will. I think Gabriel Jesus, he's all right. He's got an all right record against you, to be fair, in scoring goals. Gabriel Jesus, and I want my star boy Saka too, man. Star boy Saka.
You gotta beat him, bro.
I bet he needs to, yeah, man. Cause he's had a few too many games, a bit quiet against Liverpool. I know he scored last season, but even then he was quiet, and one was a penalty. So yeah, man, Saka and Jesus.
Saka and Jesus.
And Jota definitely will score against us. Like, even you got to predict that. If you don't, I'm walking off. I'm joking.
Yeah, no. To be fair, he is actually one of my goal scorers. I'm gonna go with the same scoreline though. I have this weird feeling, bro. Like, and you know what it is as well. And big up KJ. I was talking to him before I went on the terrace here, and I said to him, I've actually got a bad record this season. I'm not going to be able to watch the game live because I'm going to be busy during the day, and the game kicks off at 4:30. I might be able to catch like a second half, like last 20 minutes, but the majority of the game I'm not going to see. Every game I've not watched from the beginning, we have not won that game, and it's coincided that it's been every dropped point that Liverpool have had this season. So Brighton, Spurs game we lost, Manchester United game we drew 1-1 with you. I think there's a few other games potentially dotted around in there, but every game, Man City, again, those games I've tried to catch it like on my phone on the way home, like put it up on the like whether I'm in the car or on the train or whatever. I've just tried to put the game on, and it just it never really works out, and I'm missing this game as well. So that's why I think we're gonna draw 2-2. I think Jota and Van Dijk will be the goal scorers.
Set piece, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a set piece, but I also think your goal scorers will be. I didn't have Jesus, to be fair. I had Erdegaard and who was the other one I had? It wasn't even second. Oh, Gabriel. I had Gabriel scoring again.
Yeah.
I was like, your set piece are dangerous, man. Like, that's where I feel like you guys can really take the mantle of the game, take a hold of the game, should I say, sorry. And if you do, like I said, if you take your chances, you'll beat us. If you don't, we will beat you. That's what I'm kind of sure of, if I'm being, hopefully honest. But big up everyone, of course, in the chat. Big up everybody who's tuned in this evening. Myself and Tariq with the Arsenal versus Liverpool preview. Tariq, chat to the people. If you've got anything coming up over the next couple of days that they need to watch out for.
I appreciate you, my bro. First things first, though, guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you smash that like button, people. Like, serious, like, we've given you 2 hours and 3 minutes worth of content. I mean, you guys have been, you man have been here, and we do appreciate you, and that's the way of we thanking you. But the way you can thank us, to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, people, to GTV football channel. I'm sure I'll be on here a lot more. And the red carpet will be rolled out for you and Tariq.
Bro, I don't need a red carpet. I'm good with the pavement and the stones and the floor, bro. I'm ready. Whenever you're ready, bro, I'm ready to jump on, bro.
It'll be there, man, and I can't wait till we do it. And we'll have to, whether it's non-Arsenal and Liverpool related, I think me and you could really do that. So defo, bro. But check out Tariq Talks, guys. I was meant to be doing a Premier League preview show, but which is where I have like a giveaway as well for each month and at the end of the season for predictions. So guys, check out the channel on there, but I won't be able to do it tonight because I've got my nephew's birthday party in tomorrow morning, so I've got to get that sorted and stuff like that. But yeah, people, subscribe over there. On the road to 800 subs, but over here, GTV, get the man to 1K. Yeah, let's go, people. Come on, he's nearly there. And whether that's by liking, sharing, what are you? You know what I mean? We need to get there, man. So really appreciate you guys, and thanks to G again.
No, bro. I was literally just about to say anyway. First and foremost, guys, all of you still left in the chat, bro. If I don't see that you subscribed over, I don't care if he's an op. Like I said, we've heard him talk now. We know what he's about. We've seen him on Enz's stream as well. You know what he's about. Enz wouldn't just have any old dibby dabbies on there as it is. So the fact that he's been on there, we already know the vibe. And again, just to echo what he said, it's real good conversations, bro. So again, like I said, you're welcome on the channel like anybody else, man. So please, man, anytime you're free or whatever, I'll always just drop you a link. So yeah, man, hop in whenever. And guys, that's where you can find him. But again, don't be bozos because I done told you if you go into the description, you will see it is. You don't have to do anything. You know what? Let me even take this down. You don't even need this because it's in the description, guys. Just make sure you head on over there and go and check out, please, Tariq's channel. Thank you very much, and make sure, of course, you stay tuned. I know he's gonna have a match reaction. If Liverpool win, I can't wait to watch your match reaction anyway to the game. So I'm definitely going to make sure I tune in and I'm sitting there writing my notes just in case I have to call you out on anything. And again, of course, vice versa. But guys, over the weekend, tomorrow's Saturday, and I'm trying to chill. I can't remember. Is Man City playing tomorrow?
No, Monday. They play Monday. Brentford away.
So, that's a bit of a tricky one. Yeah, there's nothing really going on. I mean, I might jump on a few things potentially, but if not, I'm relaxed up until Sunday evening. So I'm gonna be quiet for a little while, and then of course I will be back. Potentially Sunday evening. If not, I will be back. Yes, big up Philip Bidwell, man.
Appreciate you.
I will be back. I will be back on Monday. So make sure you guys, of course, tune in. Guys, the intro, the outro, it's this guy right here, John II. Make sure you head on over to Spotify, YouTube, whatever. His link is in my description anyway. So you guys already know. Just head on over there and make sure you go listen to some good music. Last but not least, I thought, we would end on like a good note. It's Liverpool related. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything good note, in terms of Arsenal. So this is for the Liverpool fans. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you do subscribe to the channel, and we are out. Oh, you guys seeing the touches? Jesus Christ.
Ridiculous footballer, man. Look at that. Bang, Swaz.
Madness. All right, guys. See y'all later. Peace.